Hi, everyone, and welcome to a new live session with the team at Work for Impact. I am Beatrice, Head of Social Media at Work for Impact, and I will be guiding you today through this session. If you don't know us, Work for Impact, first of all, is a beer corporation, and it's a platform where purposeful freelancers meet purposeful organizations that want to grow and do great things together in the world. In this series of live sessions, we are meeting with for-purpose organizations that will share their story with us. And we hope that these conversations can help many to be inspired in their journey of making an impact. Today, we're very happy because we have Tim Duerkop, CEO and co-founder of Xilva, the global forest marketplace. Together with him, we will discover how companies and investors, thanks to Xilva, can find great forest projects that need funding. So today we will be talking about forests. And in a second, he will be joining us. There you go.
Hi, Beatrice.
Hi, team. I
Hello.
hope that I spelled correctly your surname, please.
Yes, yeah, all good. Yeah,
okay. Yeah. Sounds great. So thank you, first of all, for joining us today.
And
we are super curious to understand what Xilva does and let us know the story behind Xilva.
Actually, you made a great introduction. So you should come on board with us. So you introduced us perfectly. So what we try to do is to bring together forest projects and capital providers. And with this, we aim to create the world market leader in early stage regenerative forest investment. So we want to create more regenerative forests and provide the money to the forest projects that is needed to actually achieve that goal. That's the one-liner.
In a nutshell, yes.
That's the elevator pitch, but we can take a longer elevator ride if you like. No, but I think that's the main thing. So basically, on a more abstract level, we try to remove inefficiencies that exist that make it hard for capital providers to invest in forests and hard for forests to actually get the necessary investment to create and scale the forests that they want to do.
Yeah. So yeah, that sounds great. So you actually also vet forest projects, right? So you find forest projects that need investment, right?
Absolutely. So in order to make the money flow, you have to remove the inefficiencies and you have to remove the barriers. So in the moment, it is very expensive, takes very long, and the main reason for that is a lack of trust. So people don't trust each other in the market. So the forest projects say, is my capital provider actually greenwashing? Are they doing funny stuff with the fact that they invest in us? And on the other hand, of course, the capital providers have trust questions as well. Does the money make it to the forests or does it get lost on the way? It is often the case currently where a lot of the money gets stuck somewhere with middlemen. And they want to know if the project is actually a good project. And we have the foresters on the team. We have the experts on the projects on the team that allow us really to vet these projects very much in depth and say, is this a good project? Is it worth investing in it? Will it create the necessary financial return? But most importantly, also the necessary quality in the forest that is generated or scaled. So trust is actually the main. If you look at it on an abstract level, what is our product is actually trust that we create for the two parties to meet and meet efficiently.
And this is great. And how this solution came to life? So what was the initial idea? So what was every time we ask ourselves, what is the problem we're looking to solve? What is you're building a bridge at the moment, but is
in that sense, yes. So actually, the idea came from my co-founder Jamie Lawrence originally, and he's a forester, and he worked in the field. So he worked in forest projects, looking for funding. He also worked for large corporates, trying to invest in projects, trying to get money down to the forest. And he also worked with certifiers. So he really worked on all three sides, basically, of the market. And he just saw how inefficient it is and how much time, effort, money got wasted on the way. And he said, that should be possible to do this with a digital tool or a digital platform. And then he looked for people to make it come to life. And that's how Xilva ultimately came to life. So I don't have a forest background. I'm a digital entrepreneur, built and scaled a digital agency quite nicely. So we built digital platforms and made transactions, marketplaces, made them more efficient, made processes, interactions more efficient. But we never did it for forests. So we are the digital guys, or I am a digital guy, and Marike is a digital, I don't know, girl is the right word, but a digital person as well. Jamie is the forester. And then we have Lorenzo, who is doing sales and marketing. So trying to get those capital providers on board that are obviously very sorely needed. So that's how the co-founding team is set up. And that's how we run Xilva, basically.
But that's beautiful. This is how also different skill sets come together to have like a final good purpose. Actually,
very important aspect. This is a very important aspect also in how we organize ourselves, that it's very much interdisciplinary. So you have the foresters, you have the digital people, you have the finance people, and they all have to come together and work on creating a joint product. So that's our organizational setup that you described there.
Yeah, but then also it doesn't. You have your co-founder that is also expert in forest, but then you also have digital background and also knowledge maybe of the business world. So you can, everyone can provide different elements that can ultimately end up in a good solution, let's say.
Absolutely. That's the idea. And that's I think what's needed to create something new that makes meaningful impact in the world. I mean, our idea is not to create the 50th carbon marketplace, but really create something new that is specialized on forests and makes those investments in forests happen. And with this creates more natural forests than we have ever seen. That quote is not from me, but from David Attenborough. So, but we like to use it because that's ultimately what we're here for.
Okay. So actually, usually we have questions coming up at the end, but we already have like a few questions coming in.
Oh, I see.
Questions and also good comments about this conversation. So we're happy about that. So first of all, I would like to start with that question, if you want, or otherwise we can keep it at the end, from Giuseppe here. And how does Xilva qualify eligible nature-based project to partner up with, and how does it monitor their performance? So this is the question from Giuseppe. Thank you, Giuseppe, for the question.
Thank you, Giuseppe, because that really goes to the core of Xilva. So we have a pre-screening, screening, grading methodology we call Xilva Grade, and that covers exactly that. So we look very much in depth into the projects, and really try to understand where they stand. And that is not so easy if you have an early stage project, because if you have a project that's a little bit, let's say, later stage, is already running, maybe has a certification, a carbon certification already, then somebody else has vetted it, and we can go into more detail on some aspect. But if it's an early stage project, that is not there, right? So we really have to go from scratch and look at it very much in depth. And we also believe it can't just be looking at satellite images, which some of our competitors do, which is super valuable to look at the forest from a satellite or a drone. But you have to go, we always say, under the canopy. Yeah, you have to go under the canopy, see what happens, how people are treated down there. I mean, from looking from the satellite, how people are treated. Does it create opportunities for indigenous local people, for communities? Does it provide biodiversity impact? Does it provide water impact, etc.? So that is something that we understand. And we grade in 5 categories. That's positive impact, project robustness, permanence management, which is super important, of course, whenever you talk about carbon, that it's not just taken out of the air, but also stays there. ESG management, very detailed methodology on that one. That's something that's derived from an IFC methodology, but made a little bit simpler. And then future value. Is it actually possible to create something bigger out of it? Because that is really the best way to create forests, is to scale existing ones and scale existing projects also. So there is a place for reforestation and for afforestation also. But the ideal way to do this, or And the ideal way to do it is to actually take an existing project, make it bigger over time. So you have an experienced team, knows how it works, knows how the carbon markets work, knows how to get that money, capture that money, and then scale that project. That is the
yeah.
approach.
See, I mean, I'm not an expert. I'm not an expert, but then
Giuseppe liked it. He wrote in the chat that he liked it.
Yes.
Thing. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Biomass estimation, and that is the easy part, right? The biomass estimation. I'm discussing with Giuseppe. Sorry, Beatrice.
Yeah, no problem. That's the purpose of these conversations, because actually we love when there's an interaction from the audience. So
and the biomass estimation is actually the easy part, because there is some methodology you can do that with. If you talk biodiversity, really hard to do. If you want to know how many animals are and how many species of animals and how they are basically doing, that's not something you can do from satellite. Yeah. Maria wrote amazing project. Yes. Where is now this project? Exactly. So, and Marike, hello Marike, our product co-founder, she answered already. So actually we don't have a single project. We are a marketplace for projects. I should have said that at the beginning, sorry. So we are basically onboarding projects through a tool and then onto our digital marketplace. And these projects are mainly in the tropical green belt, so everything that's north and south of the equator. And then the investors, the capital providers, are in mainly Europe. In our case, a little bit of Asia. We have a very capable Asian team member, Li Ling. She's covering the Asia market. And as a team, we are in Serbia, Spain, and Switzerland, as Marika has written in the chat. And soon we have a team member in France as well. So we are distributed. Yeah, but then we have to tell that you guys are, I mean, the company is just 1 year old. Yes, we started. Yeah, so I mean, you started, but I mean, you have just launched, let's say, and you have already a few projects coming in. But I think that for the future, we have projects and we have clients, because that's what we're here for. We're here to move money to the forest, and we've achieved that already. So that's it's important to have projects onboarded, but it's even more important to actually provide them with money, right? So but sorry, I interrupted you. Yeah, no, that's okay. No, this is your time and your stage also. So for anything that you'd like to add. So yeah, so if there are no other elements that you want to add, we can pass so to the next question. So we mentioned just that you're just 1 year old, let's say. So 1 year old, it's nothing for a company that has just started. But then what were the main learnings that you things that you have learned along the way in this process of also having together different skill sets, as we said, and also in this journey? What were the your key takeaways from this year, let's say? I mean, looking back, so you asked me, when we talked before, you asked me what advice would I give myself 1 year ago, right? Yes, exactly. I would say, looking from today's perspective, fundraise much more earlier, because last year there was still the VC boom. In Q3 last year, there was I think the peak of the VC boom. So we should have raised 5 million more. Because it has become quite difficult since then. So we have our seed round completed, so we're good. We have enough runway, all is good, but it was a lot of work, especially for me. So maybe that's why I look at this as a CEO. That's my role and my duty to get the money in the VC fundraising. So that was a lot of work. So would have been better to do it earlier. Otherwise, I would say, I mean, there is learnings. You do things, and then you realize it doesn't work, and you go to something else, and then you go against something else and against something else. But I think that is not something you can avoid. That's actually part of the startup journey. That this is taking place. That's part of creating the spot where we can actually generate value. And we've really defined that now with a focus on early stage regenerative forest projects, and not everything in the carbon market, but really forests and this early stage approach. That's the focus.
Yeah, and I think that this is very much the process of a startup, and also when you embark in a new journey, then it's inevitable that you stumble upon things that you haven't forecasted, and also sometimes we might call it mistakes, but are actually that beautiful learnings that we learn along the way, and then help us to revise and maybe go in depth. And see certain things from another angle, and maybe we discover new things.
Yeah, and we also, I'm a little bit older, so I can still recall the internet boom in the 90s, which we were a very early part of with my company. And what I learned from there is that you need a lot of ambiguity tolerance. So you have to be able to tolerate ambiguity in a startup, because you don't know exactly what is your problem solution fit, what is your product market fit. So you have to work with that ambiguity, and even more so in a market that's just being created. I mean, the voluntary carbon market grew 300% last year. It grew from 500 million to 2 billion from 2020 to 21. I would say this year, I don't know the exact number yet, of course, because the year is not over, but I would say it's probably another 100%. So you have explosive growth rates. And the market is shaping. So you have the Article 6.4 process of the Paris Agreement. So you have these beautifully named A640Rs that are being created. They will be issued sometime. Will they be a product that we have? Will they replace us? Will they be complementary to us? Nobody knows. You have standard bodies that are emerging. Nobody knows how that's going to go, or which one is going to win. We have with Vera, we have a sort of intermediate winner, but will it be the ultimate one? I don't know. So you have to be open to these market inputs and develop in a nimble way, and also in a humble way. So not say I know everything, but really be humble about it, and understand, and continue to be open, continue to understand and adapt to what's going on in the market.
Yeah, this is a very useful piece of advice, I think, for everyone. It could be very handy.
So be bold about what you do or what you want to do, but be humble about how you interact with the market and with
an humble approach.
Yeah, exactly. A humble approach, especially when you talk. So you have to have a vision, and you have to have also the sort of standing power to go through, but you also have to be open and humble towards what's happening in the market. EU regulation is another one. They want to regulate all kinds of disclosures, good ideas. But what will it mean for us when there is when sustainability claims are regulated by the EU? What will be the impact of that? I don't know. Maybe our American it's good that our American competitors probably know even less what's happening in the EU, so that's an advantage for us. But still, it's a point where you have to be open and reactive, and have to understand what's going on, and continue to be open to learning. Yeah.
This is definitely like a really good advice. Yes. So
in life in general, sorry.
Yeah. In life, no. This is definitely like super useful that it could be applied everywhere. Yeah, for sure. So, but I have there's another question from Giuseppe before
yes.
we bridge. So, but
I can answer. I see it. Yeah. So basically, yes and no. So I mean, the projects advertise the price. They set the price. They advertise the price. We have more market insights than most of the projects, so we can advise them on what to set. But ultimately, the price is set by the project. That's also philosophical thing, that we think it's right that the project set the price, but of course we can tell them, okay, this price is not working. You will not get a buyer if you sell at that price. And that's true for carbon credits, but that's also true for terms and conditions the project set in their project proposals in early stage investments, where you can also say, okay, if you ask for X amount of management fee, or if you ask for, I don't know, you're only willing to give up so much equity for this amount of investment, it's not going to fly. And I think that's also a contribution we can make to the projects, that we tell them how the market is working, or what is our view of the market at least, and advise them so that they can make better proposals to the market, and also get better results from it.
Okay. I hope that we provided like an insightful answer to Giuseppe.
And I invite Giuseppe to contact us.
Absolutely. Yeah, to follow up with you guys, and then we will give you at the end. We will give you all the information to get in touch with Xilva. One of the things that I would like to jump on, because actually our audience is composed by impactful organizations, but also freelancers that work and they want to work with impactful organizations, and most of our jobs and our activities are basically remote jobs. The world of work is changing and has been changing in the last few years. Dramatically, but also like in a very in the dramatic sense, but not like necessarily negative. So how do you approach, how you are as a startup as well, as an early startup, how are you guys structured? How are you approaching remote work, and how like your impactful organization is organized in that sense?
Yeah, so we have a team of people in, as Marika wrote in the chat earlier, and as I said, also in Switzerland, Spain, and Serbia. And our Spanish colleagues are also distributed in Spain between Valencia, Leon, Tenerife. That's the places. And in Switzerland, we are all in the Zurich area, but also all not on the same place. And so basically, what we do is we work fully remote. So we have one space in a co-working in Zurich that we use in a creative way that allows us to sometimes go there with the Xilvers, the Zurich Xilvers, so the Zurich team, but we do that maybe every second week only. So the main interaction is remote, is with Google Meet, Slack, and all those other nice tools. And then what I believe very strongly in is that you have to meet in person regularly. So you build up social trust when you meet in person, and then the social trust erodes over time, and then you have to recreate it again. And that is what we do with a half-yearly 1 week on-site work. So very excited, because next week we go to Barcelona to work there for a week. Got a nicely priced but very nice villa there, so we work there for a week. And that's our current mode, that we say we do that every 6 months, and really, but it's not a party thing or a traditional company meeting, but it's really a work session basically. So we work on things that are better to work on if you're in one place. And we also had a period sort of accidentally where we worked across time zones, because my co-founder Lorenzo was in Japan and I was in the US. And then we had 4 weeks where we were basically truly global and asynchronous. And that is a different ballgame, I have to say. I found it, it has advantages, so you can do much more focus work, but it also, you have to document much more. So basically, interaction has to work with things like Loom or like wiki comments. You have to document much more. So especially in an early stage of a startup, I think it's a very challenging approach. And I also hear that and see that from other startup founders who work in a truly global fashion, that can be hard. But I think the remote thing works. And the way we phrase it now in our job ads is that we say, I don't know the exact wording, but we basically say you have to be within 1 or 2 time zones from Central Europe, and have to be able to travel to those retreats eventually, and then it works.
That's beautiful. I love this thing about the offsites and the tours that you guys are doing.
And the organization model is Scrum, which I know very well, and I'm very much a believer in the philosophy behind Scrum, the inspect, adapt philosophy, transparency, internal transparency, full internal transparency. and also trust in people, essentially, trust in people that they do the right thing. We know that it's a developer methodology, so it's an IT-based methodology, but we try to apply it to the whole company now. And I think we have the people that are smart, as Scrum requires very smart people, and we have the very smart people and the open people, the courageous people to work in that way. And so we hope that it works, and then we run it now, and then we change it later if we need something else.
Yeah, I think that each and every approach then can find its way on in different teams, depending on people's will to adhere or to.
Yeah, and you don't.
But then when you have a good team, then when you start small, then always you're able to.
It's all in the end. It's all about people and interactions. That's the Agile Manifesto. It's again not my words, but the Agile Manifesto. So you have to trust people, and you have to give people the freedom that they can work and do their things, and bring it back, and also do it as a team, not just the individual, but do it as a team as well. And then great things will happen. And that's what we are doing, and we are constantly improving on that.
Yeah, I love the approach, and this trust that yes, that goes beyond like the team and also the entire project. So we're just almost to the end of this conversation. I mean, time flies, definitely. So, but then we had like lots of interactions and lots of people interested in the project of Xilva, and this makes me really, really happy because we set up also this great conversation. So now it's time to address all the people that were listening to Xilva. So what is the next step? What people can do to get in touch with Xilva? And tell us a bit more of what are the next steps.
If you are a company, then get in touch with us. So basically, if you're a company on the net zero journey, you are doing serious net zero, so no greenwashing, but serious net zero, get in touch with us. If you're an impact investor, also get in touch with us. We're currently B2B only, because we can't basically take money from retail investors. That's a regulatory thing also. So currently we are B2B. So you have to be a company or a asset manager, for example, a professional investor to invest in us with us. If you have a forest project, I saw some exchange there from Maria. She wrote that she has a forest project. Of course, get in touch with us as well if it's ready for funding and needs funding. Super happy to talk to you. I think that's the two things that are the best way to help us create more forests than the world has ever seen. More natural forest. Yeah.
Of course. Okay. So awesome. So thank you so much for this conversation. It has been like a great journey, and also I'm super happy about all this interaction and all the interest that we have raised towards Xilva and towards this huge important issue that what is like taking care about forests and addressing also good projects to get great funding. So please reach out to Xilva. And on our end, like as a Work for Impact, we'd like to thank you so much for your attention. And if you want to follow, we have new live session coming up, and follow this page for the next live announcement. And you can sign up to the platform, discover a little bit more about what we do, both as a freelancer or as an organization. And if you want, you can also subscribe to the newsletter so you can be updated about our next live and our next session. So beautiful, like this one that we had with Xilva, hopefully.
Thank you for having us. Thank you, and thanks for everyone in the audience for listening. And I think you close.
To the next time, team.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.